My name is Natasha Iskander. I am the James Weldon Johnson Professor of Urban Planning and Public Service here at NYU Wagner School of Public Service. Today, I want to talk to you about the Trump administration's mass deportation actions. The Trump administration has passed a raft of new policies. They have been confusing, they have emerged in a torrent of executive actions, and the landscape is rapidly shifting. So today I'm going to speak to you about the Trump administration's new initiatives up until March 11th, 2025. The Trump administration has made mass deportation central to its agenda, and it has embarked on a whole of government effort for mass deportation. It has involved agencies and instances of government that have never previously been drawn into mass deportation efforts. It's involved Homeland Security, it's involved the IRS, it has involved the Department of Justice, and it has relied on new legislation recently passed called the Laken-Riley Act. It's the first standalone immigration legislation in over 2 decades, and it gives the administration unprecedented powers for deportation. It has also adopted a hemispheric push, drawing in countries throughout the hemisphere from Canada to Costa Rica. The basis for this mass deportation effort is expanded enforcement authority and capacity. The legislative authority that the Trump administration is relying on is the Laken-Riley Act. This new law allows for the arrest of non-citizens and their placement in removal proceedings based solely on the suspicion of having committed a crime. No one has to prove that they have committed a crime in accordance with our typical due process procedures, only solely on the basis that they are suspected of having committed a crime can they be placed in accelerated deportation proceedings. The Trump administration has expanded something called expedited removal. Expedited removal is the ability to remove non-citizens without due process who have been on the territory for less than 2 years. That authority used to be confined to a 100-mile area from any U.S. border. Now that expedited authority has been extended to the whole country. The Department of Homeland Security has also issued a raft of new memos deputizing and charging its various arms to act as enactors of the Trump administration's new enforcement authority. The Department of Homeland Security has created a registry for undocumented immigrants. It has charged the DEA, the ATF, and the U.S. Marshals Service with taking up the functions of an immigration officer. It has ordered the IRS to extend its Criminal Investigations Division to immigration enforcement. It has charged the State Department special agents to assist with arrest and deportations, and it has charged state and local enforcement authorities to assist with immigration enforcement, including state National Guards, and it has expanded the use of something called 287G, which is an agreement that deputizes trained state and local personnel to enforce aspects of federal immigration law, and the US government has begun targeting so-called sanctuary cities with a variety of punitive measures. The most important enabling factor or bottleneck for mass deportation is detention capacity. Non-citizens are held in detention while their due process unfolds, while their immigration case is being reviewed, or in cases where due process is abrogated, they are held in detention until the logistics of their deportation flights can be arranged and until permissions from the receiving country to receive those flights can be secured. The current detention capacity in the US is about 41,000 beds. The Trump administration would like to expand that capacity to 100,000 beds or more. To do this, it has explored the possibility of using the Army base of Fort Bliss at the Texas-Mexico border to become a deportation hub with emergency beds for 75,000 people. It is also working very closely with private prisons groups to expand detention capacity. Private prison groups have made the case that they can double US immigration detention capacity in very short order. The US government has deployed military personnel to the border, some 15,000 to date. It has used US military planes to carry out deportations. The US government has also begun detaining immigrants in Guantanamo Bay. It currently has the space to detain 130 immigrants, and it has augmented that by using Camp 6, the prison building formerly used for Al-Qaeda suspects. It has plans to construct additional capacity for 30,000 non-citizens. And in all of these detention spaces, immigrants who are held there in violation of their constitutional protections to due process. The Trump administration is seeking an additional $175 billion in immigration enforcement funding for the 2025 budget. As a point of comparison, the 2024 budget allocation for immigration enforcement was $9 billion. That means that the current request is a 20-fold increase in funding for immigration enforcement. Another point of comparison that can be helpful is the fact that between 1986 and 2012, so more than 2 decades, the total amount spent on immigration enforcement was $187 billion. In promoting its mass deportation efforts, the Trump administration likes to invoke Operation Wetback. Operation Wetback was a mass deportation effort launched in 1954 by the Eisenhower administration. During that deportation push, somewhere between 250,000 and 1 million people were deported, both non-citizens and citizens who were swept up in this mass deportation effort. Like the mass deportation effort today, Operation Wetback was primarily geared as a public relations move to show that the Eisenhower administration was being tough on immigration and tough on lawlessness. The difference, though, was twofold, 2 important differences. First, Operation Wetback was a short-term effort, and many of the people who were deported were actually readmitted into the country in very short order under the Bracero program, which is a temporary labor program which grew massively in the period just following Operation Wetback. And the second really important distinction is that Operation Wetback was not a whole of government effort. It was an effort to promote the newly expanded, newly professionalized, and newly equipped Border Patrol. This was not a whole of government effort. It was a slice of government PR short-term initiative. At Wagner, we worry about public service for the public good. When I look at the Trump administration's whole of government effort for mass deportation, the question that it gives rise to for me is, how do we understand a whole of government effort that is designed to revoke political rights and dignity, to detain and incarcerate, and to disappear? For more information, you can look to these sources.